Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Antony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois and the rest of that Wembley card. We are back in the studio and a new format on the podcast, now separate review and preview shows, not all just one. It's the same great content, but in two little bite-sized episodes for you guys. So if that sounds good, obviously hit the subscribe button. And without further ado, Joshua Dubois. 98,000 people in attendance in the end at Wembley Stadium. It's a moment in British boxing history, but more importantly, what a performance from Dubois. I think that's the only place we can start. What a performance.
Yeah, it was mental to watch, to be fair. Like, from the first sort of punch, he just gained AJ's respect straight away with the jab. I think we spoke about last week how Dubois probably got one of the best jabs in terms of heavyweight, and it just instantly put AJ on the back foot. He didn't get a chance from the first minute to sort of land. Everyone was worried about that right hand from AJ without really thinking about what Dubois could do the other way round. But yeah, like we said, really, really good performance, and it reminded me a bit of obviously when AJ beat Klitschko, like sort of overtaking the top man at heavyweight. It feels like Dubois sort of taking the mantle now as the top heavyweight in the UK. Obviously he's still got the potential of Tyson Fury, but like beating AJ, not just beating him, but beating him very comfortably, like push him right up there now.
Yeah, it was a passing of the torch moment, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Like you said with Klitschko, that was a passing of the torch moment between two different eras, and now Daniel Dubois is now the best heavyweight out of Britain. And imagine you saying that in 2020 when he lost to Joe Joyce. Imagine you say, in 4 years' time he'll be IBF world champion and he would have knocked out Antony Joshua. I would have laughed in your face, because I would have thought there's no way on this planet Earth. But the way he's had his comeback fights has been, all down to like the Riyadh season. You've had Jarrell Miller, where people again had a lot of question marks over him, where he was looking like he couldn't get the job done, and then he got it done with 20 seconds left, and then against Filip Hrgović, for some people caused a massive upset. And we didn't really know how good Filip Hrgović was, but Daniel Dubois just showed how good he was on that night. And then Saturday night, wow, what a performance from the ring walk as well. I don't know, I think I heard a lot of commentators said that Daniel Dubois was watching Antony Joshua the whole ring walk as he made his way to the ring. And yeah, I was just shocked watching it. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. It felt like I was watching the Andy Ruiz one fight all over again, because I just couldn't believe what I was watching. But like Ben said, AJ was straight on the back foot. For me, his hands were down low, his chin was up high, and he was just inviting Daniel Dubois on. And after the first round, the fight was over after that first round. AJ was knocked from being 100% down to 50, and then the knockdowns came. And then as he hurt Dubois in the fifth, he was probably at 20%, 30%. So just what a shock. And it was just a great night of boxing, and the crowd was incredible. Liam Gallagher, a lot of people are saying was I don't know about you boys, I thought he was good, but I don't know if I wanted to hear a bit more songs from him. But yeah, just an incredible night.
I think the thing for me with Daniel Dubois that blew my mind is he was the title holder technically. Obviously he didn't win that one, but he inherited that world title. He came to the ring first, so had to wait it was so long, that walkout from AJ. He had to wait so long in that ring. Everything was stacked against him the whole week. It was AJ this, AJ that, and we were guilty of it, and pretty much every journalist was guilty of it. We said the exact same thing, which is Daniel Dubois could hurt him, but AJ will hurt him, without necessarily actually believing that Daniel Dubois would do it. And he did. We can't take away from the fact that he seriously hurt AJ in a way we haven't seen, in, like you say, since the Ruiz fight. Yeah. Fair play to AJ for going out on his sword. Fair play to him for, like you said with the Klitschko fight, trying to go out with one last uppercut. But even in that moment when Daniel Dubois got whacked, he still had the presence of mind to think, he's dropping his hands for an uppercut. I'll come over the top with the right hand, end the fight. The pictures we've seen, it's just
he was trying to do what he did against Ngannou, wasn't he? He was just looking for that big over right hand, and it wasn't happening for him, and he was looking for it. But yeah, I think a lot of people now are saying that they got their game plan wrong, and you don't know what the game plan is. They haven't come out and said what they were targeting, but if I was Antony Joshua, I'd just say credit to Dubois, and fair play to Antony Joshua as well for getting up all the time. The amount of people that would have just said, "Oh, bugger that, I'm not doing that, get me out of here," but he was tried and tried and tried, and he just shows what a warrior he was. And I seen all the memes comparing him to that Australian Olympic dancer. Yeah. I don't know if that's nice, but fair play. It's a passing of the torch moment, and Daniel Dubois is now the face of British boxing, which, like I said, in 2020, if you said that, I would have laughed in your face.
You've got to give credit to AJ though. Like you said, he went out on his shield, really, like kept getting up, even though he was, from that first knockdown, wasn't himself. And it was an amazing night, the whole event, and that event doesn't happen without AJ carrying British boxing on his back for the last decade. Like that beating Klitschko, like the multiple Wembley shows he's done, 2-time world champion. Like, you've got, like, people will get on his back for it and say he's washed and whatever else, but like nights like these in British boxing wouldn't have happened without his input over the last 10 years. So
I don't think Dubois Fury sell Wembley 98,000 as a fight. I think you need AJ really to sell those kind of numbers. The amount of support he had and does have and still has afterwards is, he's just, no one's done it like him in terms of the way, like you say, he's carried the sport. He's been an example to young people. He's got people into grassroots boxing, into amateur boxing, all the way from the Olympics onwards. So fair play to him. We've got a few audio clips before we move on, just a few bits and bobs to talk about. So first up, I suppose, AJ, retirement or not?
Look at what we've achieved in the space of 11 years. It's phenomenal. And I want to thank every single one of you that's been riding with me. What a roller coaster journey. But you know what the problem is that it's far from over yet.
So that answers that. It's not over yet. He's going to roll the dice again. That's the words he keeps using, roll the dice. We took a chance at success. What's next for him? Is it the rematch? Is it, Deontay Wilder? Is it Jarrell Miller? All these fights, Tyson Fury, that we've wanted for years and never got. Is it that time to kind of finally see just something for the fans?
In June, we said that Zhilei Zhang robbed us of Wilder AJ, didn't we? But now, it's the perfect moment now for Antony Joshua to go on and say, well, I need to make a comeback now. I have to rebuild myself. And he can't rebuild himself like he did previously, fighting Jermaine Franklin, then Robert Helenius. He has to have a big name now. So, for me, I would want to see him out again one more time this year, or maybe in February. I don't want to see him out in, like, May time next year. I think Hrgovic is a perfect comeback fight for him. And then give me Wilder, and then Fury, and then see what happens. And then potentially, if he wins all three of them, he could fight Alexander Usyk for a trilogy, or Daniel Dubois for Undisputed, which is a good way forward.
Fights like Saturday, though, show like how you can never plan too far ahead. Like, we've seen it multiple times over the last few years. And there was a time at one point where Wilder and Joshua both had the world titles, could have fought for Undisputed, didn't get around to doing it. He then loses to Andy Ruiz. Wilder obviously does the trilogy with Tyson Fury, but that is still the fight I think they should look to go for. The two fights they should be is Wilder then Fury. Like, it's way past the point of where it should have been for both fights. They're both not at the peak of their powers in terms of either fight, but it still draws a crowd. Like, he would have taken on every challenger at that point in his career, and there's nothing else you could have asked for from him then.
Do you think there's a bit of AJ that wants to get that rematch? That he still, obviously we saw it after the Usyk fight. Straight away, the first thing was, I'm getting back in there. I'm going to prove that it was an off night. I'm going to prove that I can beat him. And obviously that proved to be, not the case. But surely there can be part of AJ's that's thinking, I can beat Daniel Dubois. I should have beat Daniel Dubois. I made so many mistakes, and I think Eddie said it in the post-fight that he's got a rematch clause if he wants it.
Was it a rematch clause, or was it another fight with Riyadh season? I think that's where people.
Eddie Hearn says he's got.
They got a rematch. Okay,
but is it a case of it being too late to beat him though? Like, AJ maybe 7 years ago might have beat Dubois. But Dubois now at 27 he's hungry, he wants to get to the top, and AJ's like coming towards the end, so is it just a matter of it being the wrong time for him to sort of face him?
Yeah, I don't know. It's heavyweight boxing, so could
Exactly,
AJ beat Dubois?
exactly.
Absolutely. Could AJ
Yeah,
have
he
beat
could.
Dubois on Saturday? Absolutely. You know, he was a decent uppercut away from possibly turning that fight around, which is completely bonkers to say, because he had no feet for about 10 minutes. He was all over the place, but he still, in that 5th round, managed to catch his feet, find his feet for a moment, land that right hand, and then it was just, you know what, I'm landing this right hand as many times as I can, switched it up to the uppercut and got banged out. So I think I'd watch it. I think it makes the most sense for AJ. It doesn't make sense for Dubois as a fight. Obviously Dubois got that belt, he's got that win, he's got bigger aspirations, bigger hopes. So I don't know. We'll see what Warren had to say about Dubois' next fight, and then we'll talk about maybe what fight we would want to see for Daniel Dubois next, if we've got any names in the hat.
We'll see what happens on the 21st of December in Riyadh. Let's see what the outcome of that fight. Tyson, I believe, will win it. But the fight, I would love to see Daniel lace him up against Usyk again, because I believe that he should have won that fight, and I still believe it wasn't a low blow.
So, I mean, Frank's going to say that, isn't he? Frank's going to say that. But who would we want to see Daniel Dubois fight? You know, one name. I'm not saying you can't go, well, I think this. One name.
If he's smart, he waits till the 21st and takes the winner for undisputed. He might, like we said earlier, like things go wrong sometimes. You might never get that chance to have an undisputed fight again, so I would not take the risk of jumping in with someone else now, possibly losing that opportunity. So I'd wait for the winner of that fight.
Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker deserves it, don't he? Let's be honest. Everyone wrote Joseph Parker off against Wilder, against Zhang, and he came through him. He deserves a world title shot now, in my opinion. So I think that's the fight, but like Ben said, potentially wait until the outcome of December 21st.
I'd love to sit down with Eddie Hearn now, though, after this weekend, because it's been a tough few months for Matchroom in terms of
brutal.
It's 28-0 or so.
28-0 against Queensbury fighters.
Jesus.
Battered in the 5v5. Joshua's lost to Dubois. Cacace's taken out Warrington and Cordina. Like, it's been a difficult few months for Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, and yeah, don't see where they go from here now in terms of AJ has got Wilder and Fury, I think, left. So
Yeah, it has been brutal. With the Dubois one, you guys both said, so you said, obviously, I think Dubois deserves the Usyk fight, or Fury if he beats Usyk. He's absolutely earned that opportunity. I think Joseph Parker has earned but I think the fans deserve a Martin Piccoli fight. I think those two, as a shootout, a pure shootout of, right, which one of us is going to land that big shot first? It's you or me. I think that would be it makes no sense at all for either fighter. Well, it makes no sense for Piccoli, actually. But it doesn't make sense for Dubois to say, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to get in with probably the next biggest, if not the biggest hitter in heavyweight boxing, the second coming of George Foreman, and, you know, shoot it out with him for my IBF belt. It doesn't make sense.
So I mean, it's the thing of taking the risk, and if he jumps in with Piccoli and Piccoli beats him, then he gets jumped in the pecking order and he misses out on those big fights. But
does Turkey care about Daniel's career, or does he care about the fans, care about us that want the fight?
There's also like a newfound confidence with Dubois, and like he's from my perspective, he's probably down as fighter of the year in terms of what he's achieved this year. The 3 wins, just like he's like a completely different fighter. Even against AJ on Saturday night in our 5th round, he got clocked, and I feel like a old version of Dubois might have taken a back foot and really struggled and panicked at that moment, whereas he just stood there, he firmed it, and he went, right, I'm coming back at you again, and he ended the fight then.
It was a worryless Dubois, wasn't it? There was no worries, no care for what AJ had to do, was going to do. In Dubois' mind, he got to a point where it was like, well, I'm going to knock you out, and there's nothing you can do to stop me doing that. And obviously we know that you can think like that, and it doesn't necessarily make it into reality. But he just seemed so switched on from second one, and AJ seemed so switched off from second one, so hyper focused, and yet didn't see a right hand that you could, what it came from so far back all the way over. It was like a cricket bowl,
You'd only see it by there though. You like split second and then bang.
No, the first one.
The first one, he saw it all the way.
It was coming from all the way over, and AJ just stood there and watched it, hands low.
Just paused in disbelief, like, wait a minute, how's he doing this to me? This wasn't in the plan. But AJ was A-side in this fight. Everyone turned up to Wembley for Antony Joshua. Maybe 1% of the fans were all Daniel Dubois supporters. Dubois deserves now to be A-side in the next fight, no matter what.
Well, he should have been A-side.
Well, he should have. I didn't like
in as champion.
I didn't like the way he came out first. It was Joshua Dubois. I didn't like that. You know, I think Ade Oladipo did it quite smartly at the press conference. He said Daniel Dubois against Antony Joshua for the IBF World Championship. He did that on purpose. And yeah, listen, Dubois, he's got a lot of big fights, but the heavyweight division as a whole, there's so many good fights to make. You know, Martin Piccoli, there was a reason why no one wanted to fight him, and we found that out in August when he fought Jared Anderson. Martin Piccoli was always pushed to one side. He's too dangerous. I don't want him. He can carry on fighting like Tony Yoka and all them. Martin Piccoli deserves a shot. December 21st, him and Zhang, him and Parker. The heavyweight division at the moment is on fire with all the fights that can be made. And if you lose, you got a big fight up next anyway. So
you've got Parker, Piccoli, Dubois, and probably Kaya Cabiel waiting for an opportunity, and then you've got Wilder, Zhang, Joe Joyce, etc. kind of have tasted glory and are on the way down. So you kind of have these two banks of fighters where it's like, well, if you lose to the top ones, you drop down to the Zhang, Wilders, or etc., and it's just good, isn't it? We could talk about this for an hour. There are other fights on this card. There are other very good fights on this card. Where do we start, Ben? Where do you reckon? Which fight for you is like, this is the one?
The upset at the start of the night, I think.
Padley. Some performance.
I don't think a single person, nor many, would have predicted that.
22 on the Boxing News app for the official.
They must have clicked the wrong button, because there's no way. Like, it was some performance. He's changed his life with that win, and like, it weren't as if it was even a lucky win either. He deserved that.
He worked hard.
He dropped him. He frustrated him. He fought very well on the outside, catching him coming in. And you could see the frustration building in Chamberlain, which led to the point deduction as well. And it's knocked Chamberlain completely off course. Like we said, like, he was probably facing a world title fight on the 21st of December, which now probably doesn't go to him. Padley has put himself in. I think they may push for a rematch, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it stinks of pretend it never happened for Chamberlain. Yeah. Just kind of go, we lost to Padley, but let's
go straight into a world
title. Let's pretend that didn't happen, and let's just go into our fight. Because I think you go against a rematch against Padley, and you probably beat him. I think Padley had the perfect game plan. He executed it perfectly, and there was an element of luck and skill involved in the fact that he just didn't get caught by that big shot. When you're someone like Mark Chamberlain, you only need that one shot to make it, and you know, you could run that fight back another 2-3 times and Padley could get knocked out in all three of them, or he couldn't get knocked out in all three of them. We'll never know. But I just don't know if it makes sense for Chamberlain to go back in against Padley. It makes sense for Padley, get another payday against someone you know you've got the ability to beat.
I think they had the plan for the Burinchik fight on the 21st, on they? And like,
yeah, without a doubt.
There was a slight feeling there that Chamberlain definitely overlooked him. I think in terms of the old week, you could see he was just looking at him as, this is just a warm-up fight for my world title shot on the 21st, and now it has derailed him. And one of the other fighters on the card could be the one that steps in and takes his place, which would be Cacace, since he's moving up in weight.
I think give it Sam Noakes. I think Sam Noakes has earned it. Defended his European belt. Why not? You know, those two, I spoke to Sam fairly recently.
Bit biased there, ain't he, when he says Sam Noakes?
He's
incredible, but he's your mate now, ain't he? So,
well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure he wouldn't say that. But I just think, you know, there's the talk. Obviously, those two are like the two big hitters, two big knockout eyes come from Queensbury. Mark Chamberlain slipped up. Give it to the
Sam Noakes, Josh Padley now. Just remember when we went to that press conference and we looked up on that screen and we saw Chamberlain, Padley, we both looked at each other and went, "Who?
Yeah,
Padley?"
True.
He's just made a massive name for himself. The biggest fight night he's ever had was in the Leeds
banqueting suite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how is he going to react in front of, what was there, 10,000 people were watching that fight, maybe, if not more?
By the end of it, yeah, it was quite full by the end.
He's just, like Ben said, he's changed his life forever now. He's going to turn up to work today and everyone's going to be looking at him like a hero. You know, he's put his name up on the map. And why should Mark Chamberlain go and fight for a world title fight now? If you're Alalshikh's promotional company that promotes him, Josh Padley, give him the opportunity. And if Turki Alalshikh, you know, the whole thing about this Riyadh season is giving fighters that come and have a go the bigger and better opportunities next. Josh Padley now deserves another opportunity like Saturday night. And if that's the rematch with Mark Chamberlain, let it be on December 21st. But I don't think Mark Chamberlain deserves to go on and fight Alalshikh after that performance.
But the rankings, that's the problem, isn't it? The WBC, I think he's 2 or 3 people he's ranked in the top 5 or 6.
But the confidence now of Chamberlain, though, could be knocked.
I'm not saying he'll necessarily win that fight. The Alalshikh fight's a tough fight.
He's really good.
He's the easiest shot at a world title in that division, but that means nothing, you know. So I think, yeah, like you say, Mark Chamberlain, it's going to knock him, but I get the sense they're going to try and ignore it and just kind of move on and see it as an off day, or see it as, you know, whatever they see it as.
What happens with Josh Padley then? Noakes?
Big fights.
Gwyn?
Noakes in the York Hall. I'd watch that. I think just any good fight.
I don't know if Gav is still with Queensbury, depending on what's coming up.
I don't think so, I'm going to say.
But there is rumours online. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it, but should we move on?
Let's not.
We know he's fighting.
But we're not going to touch up on that, because
I don't think we're allowed to.
No. We'll get. Next up, who's Anthony Cacace, Josh Warrington. You mentioned it.
Where's the tissues?
Yeah, heartbreak, man. Heartbreak.
It didn't light fire like I was expecting.
It did in parts, I thought. Josh Warrington, he's just a fighter that just keeps on coming forward no matter what. You know, he would take punishment, and yeah, I was gutted watching it, because I thought of all the good memories I've got of Josh Warrington, him against Lee Selby, Ellen Road, to then have that performance against Cacace, and then for me, the loser of that fight would have retired, and Josh Warrington put his gloves in the centre of the ring and had a picture and walked away from the sport. And he's had a great career, hasn't he? You know, there's a lot of highs, there's some lows, some upsets as well, but Cacace, he's very good.
Yeah, I think Josh started well for 3 rounds, if I remember.
I had it after.
And he was looking quite good, and then Cacace just managed to. Well, actually, we said this. Cacace was giving him the inside game, which is you don't fight Josh Warrington on the inside. That's like I said, that's his bread and butter. That's what he wants you to do. And he was doing it, and he was doing it very well. And it showed glimpses of the Josh that we've seen in the past. And I was thinking, wait,
he could be on.
He's not going to do it again, is he? And obviously, Cacace kind of wrestled back the control of that fight and didn't walk it, but he won more of those end rounds than lost, certainly. And it'd be a shame if Josh Warrington retires on this, because I think there is still fighting him yet. Maybe not at the top level, but I think there is fighting him left. But like you say, with the pictures, and he said he hasn't guaranteed it, but he certainly hasn't written it off, which normally means it's pretty close. But less about him. Cacace.
Yeah. He done the smart thing, Cacace, and he didn't get dragged into. Warrington's very good at doing that. He's done it his whole career, dragging people into his type of fight, and Cacace done the smart thing of use it. He looked massive for super featherweight, which is probably why he's moving up to lightweight. But he made the smart move of not getting dragged into a firefight where he could have lost it. Just picked up him rounds, scored the win, got out of there. And now he moves on, and he could end up becoming a 2-weight world champion if he gets thrown in the lightweight world title mix. I don't know whether that will happen, or even since they've both moved up, you could get the Cordina rematch.
Ooh, that'd be a good fight.
I wouldn't mind seeing that, because that Cordina rematch would be good, because the first fight he got caught with a shot. And
I think at the heavier weight class, where they're both more filled out and feel a bit healthier, this is a different type of fight as well.
Definitely.
A few naughty little late shots from Cacace again in the Warrington fight as well. Seems to be
just the way he fights.
I think he's just so he's so high energy. Like, there was after one of the rounds, and I'm pretty sure Cacace won the round pretty comfortably, and he just screamed toward Josh Warrington and then walked back to his corner. And the whole fight week, them two were just
the final face-off.
It was perfect. It was it was exactly how boxing should be. Yeah. Nothing but respect all week for each other. A little bit of bite, but nothing anywhere near disrespectful.
It wasn't serious at the weigh-in, was it?
The weigh-in, well, I don't know. I think there was just a bit of kind of, you got so much energy, you're hungry, you're thirsty, you're just really fired up. But give each other a hug, straight into the ring, straight into punching each other in the face. You know, what more do you want?
And then shake hands and have a beer afterwards.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good
Standard
Saturday night.
Saturday night in Merthyr, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was going to
pretty
say
much.
that then.
No, you avoided it. Didn't you?
I avoided it because
The other fights on the card, another Josh Buatsi beat Willy Hutchinson again, fairly convincingly, or more convincingly than it possibly could have been, or maybe certain people predicted it to be. It was.
I'm just saying I called it.
You did? Fair enough.
he got battered, didn't he? He had a lesson taught. Willy Hutchinson. What was the scorecards on this? Was this the fight that was? Yeah, I thought this was the one. I was watching the scorecards. I was like, oh no.
I nearly forgot about that.
No.
Is nuts. Basically, with the 2 knockdowns and the point deduction, you would have had to have
It would have been
Eight
him
rounds to
win 8
Willy.
rounds to 4.
Yeah.
mental.
Never.
There was no way.
That
Buatsi was in control for the
crazy.
entire, 12 rounds. So, yeah. Where does Buatsi go now? He's going to be October 12th. He should be ringside in Riyadh watching the
That's his
undisputed
next
fight.
move, innit?
That's his next. Yeah.
Them body shots are just a difference maker for him.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Really,
Why fight anyone when you are the mandatory for a world title, and if they choose not to fight you, they choose to go somewhere else, you'll win the world. They'll give you the world title. Obviously you'll be a paper champion and you'll have to defend it, but
I think the thing with Buatsi is I don't even think he went through all the gears.
No.
He's like, I've seen Barry Jones speak about it. It's just like it seems to be a struggle sometimes for him to like really get himself going in terms of a fight. He could have finished that fight, I think, on the weekend if he really put his foot down.
yeah, I think so. I think, well, obviously the Dan Aziz fight is that they were such good mates. It's a different beast. You couldn't really take so much from that, other than obviously his obvious ability.
But that was one of the fights of the year so far.
Yeah, but I think you do sense that if Willy had been slightly more competitive and really stuck it on him in some of those rounds, that you would have seen a more physical, more aggressive, more violent Josh Buatsi.
And the thing is, if you don't get the stoppage, sometimes we've seen, especially with the state of those judges on the weekend, like he could have lost that fight on a points decision, as mad as it sounds.
112, 113.
It's ridiculous.
I had the unanimous decision win tweet ready to go, ready to press send, and then I hit 112. Hang about,
crazy.
What? Had to switch it to a split decision. I was like, what's this?
It. And the thing, it weren't even the only fight on the card, because the Josh Kelly and Ishmael Davis one, and one of them ended as a draw.
Yeah. And
Kelly picked up like 11 rounds.
Yeah, Kelly was. We'll move on to that.
Talk about cruise control.
Yeah.
Kelly was in cruise control. I thought Ishmael Davis gave him too much respect in that fight, and maybe if he had more notice, it could have been a much closer fight. And we said that this was potentially one of the fights of the night. It's probably, how can I say this without being rude? Probably one of the least fun to watch.
Yeah,
I thought it was a struggle.
I don't think that's offensive. I think Josh Kelly would know that it wasn't necessarily an exciting fight to watch. He's just fast hands, moves his feet phenomenally well. But when he gets caught, if you really stick it on him, like we saw in that 12th round, that was close. I thought we were going to get another upset there after the Padley fight. I was full like underdog, like fucking get him, come on.
But you just standing up from his 30. Come on.
Yeah, I was going. Man, I had it on the laptop, and I was like walking around the room. I was like, I'm not actually watching this.
It's easier said than done, I know, but the blueprint is there to beat Kelly, and it's to put. And you've seen it in the last round. As soon as he applied that pressure, he was in trouble. And like that's what you need to do from minute one with him. You need to tire him out as quick as you can, pin him into a corner, and you've just got to drill him with shots until he breaks down. But I don't know whether it was a matter of too much respect for him or just like sort of struggled with his skill. But yeah, he just didn't get enough pressure on him to cause him any real issues. And he's out fighting again next month as well. So
exactly. And with Kelly, if you try and put him into deep waters, he can't. He's not really going to swim, is he? And we saw that in the 12th round. And I was watching it, and I was thinking, why didn't you do this in like the 4th, the 5th, the 6th? But there we go.
You only need to look at that David Avanesian fight.
Yeah.
That's the example you need to take from. Like Kelly he won a couple of early rounds there, but Avanesian broke him down with just relentless pressure, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah, without there's a way to bet. If he was so beatable, people just do it. So there must.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's easier said than done.
He must
like,
hit, whether he hits hard or he's just so elusive or a mixture of the two. There's a reason that not many guys really just stick it on him and go for it, because I think they know they'll probably end up, maybe being the one that gets hurt. I don't know. Speaking of getting hurt, this is the one that hurt. Tyler Denny, Hamzah Sheeraz. Tyler Denny obviously coming in as the European champ. Hamzah Sheeraz coming in as the Commonwealth and the WBC silver. And it was a little bit of a one-sided contest.
A little bit.
Tyler Denny, he dared to dream. He dared to go again so many times in his career. Almost every time he's been the underdog. But Hamzah Sheeraz was just a little bit too good, wasn't
it? It's a fairy tale story for Tyler Denny, ain't it? People wrote him off against Felix Cash, and then he destroyed Felix Cash, and then the next day he has a phone call off. Fancy going to Wembley to do a press conference. You're fighting Hamzah Sheeraz in front of what was almost a full Wembley stadium, and I thought that was going to be the case throughout the fight. I was looking at this fight and I just thought, I can't see Tyler Denny doing much damage to Hamzah Sheeraz. The height difference, the power as well is unbelievable, and it was good to see Hamzah Sheeraz actually get the stoppage after his performance against Ammo Williams. He got tested in that fight, was taken to deep waters, and then he survived. But in this fight, he got the job done quick, and he managed to get front row seats for Liam Gallagher then quickly, and just wow, he's going to cause some serious problems, and he's huge for the weight. So imagine imagine if he moved up weight as well.
He's a disgustingly large middleweight.
It's mental.
I almost forgot, because obviously we went to the press conference, guys, and we'll get
How
that
many times
way.
have we said that today?
Way too many.
Way too many.
When I interviewed him, he was big. I was looking seriously up at him. He's broad. It's just like, you're not a middleweight. You are. Obviously, he makes the weight, but
like heavyweight.
It's scary how big he is.
I think it was just you could see the difference in skill. I don't think he'll take any sort of thing from it, but Denny is probably overachieving it in European title, and he's just happened to collide with Sheeraz, who's weight in to probably clean out the middleweight division. So it's just it was a great opportunity for him, and one he had to take, but it was one realistically that he was always going to be a massive underdog in.
Yeah, it's just, like you say, he dared to dream, he dared to do it, he rolled the dice, but really, it was a great opportunity to fight at Wembley in a big show, in a big card.
And he can come back as well, Tyler Denny. This isn't going to affect his career, because Hamzah Sheeraz is a one-of-a-kind fighter, so yeah, you look past it, you go, well, he lost to a future world champ, or a future one of the future greats of British boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought what we could do, because we're just knocking on the half-hour spot, we've kind of covered all the fights, is a few sort of quick-fire kind of questions. Performance of the night. Who's your one fighter best performance of the night, Harry?
Daniel Dubois.
Yes, it's got to be Dubois, isn't it? If I had to go someone else, it'd be probably Josh Padley, but
I think Josh
Padley... But that
was
performance of the afternoon, technically.
True. I think Josh Padley's performance of the night. Yeah. I think Dubois had all the going into the fight. There was a decent amount of people saying that Dubois will win. There was almost everyone was saying that Dubois could win. Whereas Josh Padley, it's just where did that come from? Well, Doncaster, clearly. Something in the water up there.
It was something in the final face-off as well at the weigh-in. We saw Mark Chamberlain push Padley, so maybe Padley got under the skin of Chamberlain, and that maybe changed the mindset going into the fight. But yeah, I can see that as being performance of the night. But Daniel Dubois, it was like that. No one gave him really a chance. A lot of us, we didn't even talk about the potential of Dubois winning and where he would go. It just shows that with boxing, you can't predict these sort of things. It's just on the night.
Yeah. Fight of the night?
I'd probably...
Buatsi Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that watch. I thought it was a really good thing, and it was just I was just shocked to see Hutchinson get dropped, because I thought against Richards that's what I would have seen, but no, 3 months later that's the fight I thought I would watch when he fought Craig Richards. But yeah, Josh Buatsi for me put on a clinic, and Willy Hutchinson put up a fight, and yeah, fight of the night for me.
I think just the thing is, when you look back in years to come, that Dubois knockout is what's going to be remembered.
That will go down as a legendary all-time heavyweight fight.
It's the first time Antony Joshua's been knocked out as a professional as well.
He was out.
Dubois just looked like he looked like Mike Tyson
He did.
in the way he fought, like the way he was looping him with shots, and just like the way he was built is just like it was like watching a Mike Tyson type
And all
performance.
fight week, he was just saying, I just want to fight, and all that. Throughout the build-up, actually, short and sweet with his answers, and he wasn't lying, was he?
But is that
He
just
was
because
just
he couldn't
ready.
come up with anything better to say? Like, I love Dubois, and I love his character and the way he is. It's like, it's so nice.
Yeah,
He's so humble, ain't
he's
he?
not marketable. I don't
He's
think,
not a
but
talker. He's not.
I think it could work in his benefit that he seems like such a genuine nice person that people will get behind him and rally for him.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
definitely.
AJ.
If he
Bit like
comes,
AJ.
like if he comes up against, say he comes up against Tyson Fury can play the villain very well, and then it turns into everyone will want to see Dubois get one over on him.
It'd be
so.
a bit like Dubois and Miller then with Fury, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But then again, you know, the big "I'll be your daddy" line from Dubois, all
That was
timer.
the best thing that's been said this year.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Was it
He's,
last year or this year?
It was this year.
Oh, okay.
That's another thing. It sort of reminds me to. I mentioned it on the group chat. Ariel Hawani tweeted that the ring looked small, and that was about 2. When AJ and Dubois were in there,
Tight.
it looked tiny.
No bigger than this ring.
It looked like
This
a
room.
phone box. They were just like, there was nowhere for AJ to back up to. I don't know if that was I wouldn't be surprised if that was a purposeful choice from Turkey to go, I want exciting fights. I want as small a ring as I can get away with. I want people onto each other.
And
was that-
fighters think of that as well, don't they? When they
And
see the ring, they panic
Was that
sometimes.
good? Did you guys like that? Because it was a pretty all action. I mean, Josh Kelly was able to make the most of that big ring pretty well, but other than that, no one was really able to hide from each other at all.
Yeah, it takes a certain kind of skill to be able to pull that off. Like Kelly, I think, like you said, was the only one on the night that
They look comfortable.
could move. But yeah, once you got two heavyweights as big as them two up against each other, like there's not many places you can run to in the end, is it?
No, yeah, disappointment of the night. What was the fight or the moment or the what was it that thought, nah? Was it the 4 o'clock start?
No.
Yeah.
For me, it was Joshua getting knocked out. I think for a lot of people, I'm in this era of coming into boxing. The person that got me into boxing was Antony Joshua, and to see him lose was a bit gutting, but it is boxing at the end of the day. You know, that moment with Klitschko really, really caught my attention and got me like, oh, I don't mind a bit of boxing. I might start tuning in and watching it week in, week out. But yeah, I think that was probably, for me, the gutting part about Saturday night.
Tyler Denny for me. Like, I just like him so much.
He's brilliant.
I just want to, as well. I really like Sheeraz as well. So it was just a fight where you didn't want either of them to lose, but yeah, it was just the way it went. I think for him more than anything, it wasn't great.
I think mine was the 4 o'clock start, just because I couldn't finish watching the Leeds game.
I was still at the football.
I was
yeah,
at the rugby as well, yeah.
And you lot missed one of the
Probably
best,
the best
fights
fight of the night.
One of the better fights of the night, without a doubt. Last one before we finish up and move on to what will be later on in the week preview show. It's a women world title haven this weekend. You've got Dixon, Terry Harper, Mayer versus Sandy Ryan. Alicia Baumgartner's defending her world title. There's a regional world title, regional title on the undercard of that Baumgartner card. That's an all-female card, in fact. There's not a single male fight on that whole card. But before we get onto that preview, that's in about 5 minutes or 2 days for you guys. One fight to be made off the back of this event. One fight that off the back of this event you want to see based on X person's performance or lack of performance, etc.
Joshua Buatsi, the winner of Bivol Beterbiev.
Because he hasn't got an opponent now due to an injury, Joe Cordina and Antony Cacace rematch.
Yeah.
At the new weight.
Yeah, don't know wait.
I like that.
I'd like
Promoter
that.
Ben, first day back in the studio, coming up with a banger.
I want the Dubois Bacoli fight. Or if not, the AJ Bacoli fight. I just want to see Bacoli fight again.
He deserves it, don't he? He's probably the best kept secret.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, this is a slight tangent. What I love about Bacoli as well is obviously you from the Congo. When you think boxing, Congo, you think Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Rumble in the Jungle. That's the thing you think of. And George Foreman was the disliked man in that fight. Muhammad Ali, particularly in the Congo, was loved. He was so charismatic. Everyone loved him. And so for a fighter to come out of the Congo and be exactly like George Foreman is so like, it just seems wrong and yet so right. It's like, I want that fight. That's the fight for me in the Congo. Do you think they do it?
In Africa, hell yeah.
Somewhere,
I can see Turki Alalshikh doing it.
Something different there, something we haven't seen in a very long time. But
the UFC want to do it in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Antony Joshua's got Nigerian roots. Do it there. You've got the Nigerian football shirt on.
Yeah, I'd like to see AJ fight in Lagos, but I think his links to Nigeria, obviously absolutely no disrespect to his heritage, but he is British with Nigerian heritage, whereas Bakoli is Congolese. That's where he's from. It's where he lives. Weirdly, I don't know if you follow his trainer on Twitter, Billy Nelson.
Yeah.
Just every single post replied, yeah, but what about Bakoli? Yeah, but you don't want to fight Bakoli, which is hilarious.
No one wants to fight Bakoli.
But the fact that a man from the Congo and a Scotsman have linked up to create, it's just like, it's like, in what world are these two men? Well, boxing, that is that world where you can't predict anything, you don't know what's happening next. Is there any sport like it?
One thing I've definitely learned from this weekend is the person holding all the cards now and in the best position possible is Frank Warren. Because he's got Dubois, Fury, he's got Atoma coming through, he's got Hamzah Sheeraz, he's got Chamberlain and Noakes, he's got Nick Ball, he's got all them fighters from Liverpool that are just knocking everyone out. Like, I don't think it's a stable.
Was there a reason why Matchroom never wanted to do business with him before Saudi Arabia came in, and is this the reason why?
I think he's just at the peak time. Like,
do you know what?
He believed in Dubois from the outset, and now he's got his
and Daniel Dubois is Frank Warren's version of Antony Joshua, ain't he?
Yeah.
He got him from when he turned over from amateur to professional, and he's just put his whole trust behind him throughout his career, and it's just incredible.
I actually think Matchroom and Queensberry have a hugely comparable stable. Like,
Literally.
in terms of ability, it seems they're very level, but then obviously the matchups just don't suggest that at all. You know, obviously the women's fights, Eddie has an unbelievable amount of female world champions and stuff. Sky Nicholson, Rhiannon Dixon, like we mentioned.
You have got Sky Nicholson and Raven Chapman coming up, so
True.
What
she
a
needs
fight
to
that
break
is.
the 28-0 curse.
I think if anyone will as well, maybe it might be Sky. She is the favourite, but then again, AJ was the favourite going into that one. Cordina was probably the favourite going into that one. You can't write it. You can't beat
Boxing.
it.
Everyone's got a puncher's chance.
Absolutely, the puncher's chance.
Exactly.
Without the podcast, new rebrand on the socials. What was it we said? More than a podcast. But this is a podcast right now. This isn't more than a podcast.
Well, we were going to think about Ben training from amateur to being world champion, but the contract didn't get finalised in time, so
no,
that announcement's coming. But
big time.
Big time.
That wraps it up for this episode. Like I said, later in the week, the preview show. Next week, another review show, preview show, hopefully. Lots of big content ideas in the pipeline, in the old brains, but not yet made. So, and I suppose we've got Welsh title fight, or the Welsh card this weekend, Sanagar events that's coming up. So we'll be down there for that, doing some content, some big top tier shows coming up, all that good stuff. Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook. Are we anywhere else? TikTok. On the street, if you bump into us, don't follow us there. That wraps it up for another episode. We'll see you all later in the week for the preview show.
Puncher's chance. Puncher's Chance podcast.